Hi, I'm Brita, the Questioning Quilter, and today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I am going to show you how I make my Guild's 2021 Quilt Challenge. Now, I know in the last video I asked people what they thought about me kind of branching out from my tutorials, and the answers were this. 1, keep making your monthly disappearing tutorial, which I will, and 2, whatever you make it short. Got it. So that's what I'm going to try to do. Now, my Guild's challenge was a UFO Unfinished Objects challenge, but not the normal one of finish something you have in your closet. It was to do an exchange. So I gave my UFO, put it into a box, and then I grabbed someone else's, I don't even know whose it is, and she sent me her UFO. Now, the twist on this is I'm not supposed to just finish her project. I'm supposed to change it, take it, and make it my own, which is kind of tricky because I like this pattern. But here's what I got. This, she gave me some extra fabric, some more extra fabric, and a bunch of blocks. So I'm going to start taking these blocks and try to figure out if there's something fun that I can do with these. So let's see what. So after looking at this for a while, I got to thinking, well, I've been making all these disappearing blocks. Maybe I could disappear this block as well. Now, as we know, if we're going to be cutting them apart and sewing them together, we need them all to be exactly the same size. And fortunately, these blocks are all a little more than 7 inches by 7 inches. So we're just going to trim this guy to 7 by 7. And then I have to decide, I think I am going to cut this into quarters. So that would be 3.5 inches vertically. 3.5 is half of 7. 3.5 inches horizontally. 3.5. There we go. And now we're going to put this into, I think the best design would be a Whirylgig. Well, I think that looks good enough to sew a few together and put it on the design wall. So I took a half a dozen of the Whirylgig blocks and I put them together on the design wall. And I don't know, it looks good, but I think there's a little bit too much white here. I don't know, I don't like these look a little bit spindly compared to the fat of those white Whirlygigs. So I have a whole bunch of this blue fabric that she left me. So I got to wondering, what if we put a little diamond in the center of these blocks? Oh. I don't know. I think that works. Certainly works well enough to try. So I'm going to make a few of these blocks and then put them on the design wall. We're not actually putting a diamond in the center of these. We're putting a half square triangle in each of the 4 corners. Now, I don't like sewing on a bias, and trying to figure out how to do this with a half square triangle can be a little confusing. So I think the easiest way is to just take a 2-inch square, because that's how wide this is, draw a line from corner to corner, line this up just like that, and we're going to sew right along that drawn line. And when we do that, we have this. See how it's sewn there? And we're going to take our little ruler, we're going to cut it 1/4 of an inch from that seam line. And then we're just going to fold this back, press it, do that to all 4 corners, and away we go. So I took the Whirylgig block and I put blue triangles in each of the 4 corners, and I put 9 of them up on the wall to see what I thought. And I like it, but it almost seems a little too much blue now. It seems a little, I don't know, too busy, too muddy, too something. Maybe you can tell me what you think. But I got to wondering if we added a little pop of color to kind of give your eyes something to focus on, then, well, I think this just might work. So I'm going to take some blocks, put some red and blue triangles in the corners, and put them up on the design wall and see how it looks. So I took those blocks that had blue in all 4 corners, and I replaced 2 of the blue corners with red. And Oh yeah, I hear you. It is extra work because I sewed it in, now I have to rip it out, but I'd only done about a dozen of them, and well, that's the price you pay when you're designing by the seat of your pants. But I like this, and I'm going to make all the rest of the blocks like this and put them together into the quilt. First, please thumbs up, subscribe, ring the bell, and hang around to the very end. Here's the finished quilt, and I hope you like the way it came out. If you're wondering about the size and the borders, well, all of the challenge quilts are going to the neonatal ICU, and the hospital wants them to be 36 inches by 36 inches because that's what fits over the top of the incubators. Now, I could have made this quilt a little bit bigger by adding an extra set of these Whirylgig blocks, but by using fewer blocks and putting in these borders, I had just enough of the original blocks to make a NICU-sized version of the original quilt. So here it is, the original blocks and the original design. And here is my version. Let me know which one you like better. Now, as I was working on this quilt, it suddenly occurred to me that I could make a really super simple, easy version of this quilt as a variation of a Disappearing 9 patch. So if you'd like to see this turned into a pattern in a video, let me know. Just imagine that each of the legs of this Whirlygig is a single piece of fabric, and tell me what you think the design should be called, because I have no idea. And if enough people tell me that they want to see this video and I choose your suggestion for the name, I'll give you a shout out in that video. Please stay well and happy quilting.